Hello Craftykins, welcome back to another video. As you know, Junk Journal July is starting here very soon, and I wanted to do a quick video, hopefully quick, I'm going to try and talk fast, about things you can use in your journal that are either low cost or no cost. Absolutely free things to use in your journal as well. This is a great resource, for people who are on a budget, especially this year, and who knows what the future holds. But yeah, let's just get into it. This isn't an exhaustive list by any means. Once you start looking at the world around you in the right kind of mindset of what can I use, you're gonna see a use for everything. So I'm just gonna get into it here. The first thing, which you'll probably see on every list of free supplies ever, is junk mail. So these are just things that I pulled out of my kitchen just now when I thought, I'll just film it right now. And I opened this like a monster. But you probably want to open it a little easier, or you can just chop off that part. Some of them have windows you can use if your kid doesn't scribble all over it. And then, just random things. Everybody gets junk mail, or your parents will if you're younger. Things that you can use in your journal. So that's the first thing. Another thing with mail, speaking of mail, is stamps. You can save, oh my gosh, where do I even have it? You can save the stamps from mail that you get, especially around the holidays. You might be getting a lot of holiday cards, but just ripping off that piece of the envelope or saving the whole envelope for your journal, it's great. I love stamps. I actually pulled out one of my old Smash books, just making me very nostalgic. And I used to save all the stamps from letters that I got. So I've got all the USA ones over here. These are all international ones. But yeah, so this was my thing in this journal, was just put them on the end papers. And then I started doing some more international ones on the back here. But yeah, there's so many cool designs for stamps, even just in the US, if that's where you are, or within your own country. They make such cool stamps. So those are awesome things to keep for your journal from mail you're already receiving. So I'll put those aside. The next thing I would say is packaging, another thing that comes in the mail. So I like to use bubble wrap. I save that always because if you have a little bit of paint at home already, or like I said, low cost, you can buy a little craft paint for $1 at even Walmart has them, or any hobby store. You can either paint directly on here and stamp it onto a paper, or you can paint the paper and then stick this on to kind of remove some of it to give it that cool texture. But I always keep some of this around handy. So I just got this last week, which I was jackpot, because I love texture in my journals. So I was super ecstatic to find this in a package that I opened. But yeah, there's all kinds. I haven't even folded this yet, but just brown paper is probably my favorite. You'll fold it up and cut it into page size pieces, or rip it up. Anyways, I'm sure you've seen a million journal videos already how to use paper, but brown paper is probably one of my favorite things to use in journals. Here's an example of painting on some of that packaging paper, just to give it an extra element of interest or texture, or whatever you want to call it. And then I have more somewhere of packaging, but you guys get the idea of the packaging. Any color you get, even that stuff stuffed into shoes, I've used that in journals. I mean, anything. Free paper is free paper. I like the diversity of all the different things, textures and weights and crinkliness of all different kinds of paper. So obviously I save everything. So then, speaking of that, if you get gifts, let me see, I have some wrapping paper in here somewhere. There it is. Wrapping paper you can save if you get some cute wrapping paper, or maybe not cute wrapping paper, you can use the back. But I mean, anything you can use. I even like the got ripped off a little with the tape. I'm using it. I like stuff like that in my journals. And then, you know, if it's a gift bag, you know, you can save the tissue paper, which is like gold to me. Obviously, these are bright colors. One thing you can do if you're not really a bright colors person and you have bright colored tissue paper is use it like as a background and then paint over it with like a white or a neutral color. It gives a really cool texture. You can use either a glue stick or like a wet glue, like Mod Podge, or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Oh, I can't think right now, but like just like any wet glue, you'll obviously have to wait for it to dry for a little while, but yeah, I love using that kind of stuff in journals as well. There's some more packaging down there. So here's another thing I got in a package. Now this was like a stationery thing, so it's really cute packaging, but you know, it comes from strange places. You never know when you're going to get something like really cool. But this was like a larger bag that I cut down into quarters, and so I've got like a little booklet kind of deal and a little pocket, like a pre-made little tuck pocket that was free for me because it was just packaging. So those are the kind of things to look out for. Another thing is napkins. So like if you go to events, especially like holiday things, I've gone to work things plenty of times where they have really cute decorative napkins, and if I want to keep the napkin, I am not opposed to wiping my hands on my pants. You know, if I'm going to get something cute out of the deal to use in my journals. I am a straight up hooligan, I guess, or heathen. I don't know how you say it. I'm probably saying the wrong thing. Anyways, you get what I mean. This is cute. I think I got this in a swap, but yeah, I didn't take too much time digging through everything I have for this video, but you get the idea. Cute napkins. So then the other thing is that could be completely free to you. Actually, let's do this one first. Kind of with the mail, you know, if you get a Sunday paper on your step, that, you know, I'm not subscribed to a newspaper, but every once in a while they'll show up for me. I like to keep this page with the puzzles and comics. I've used it many times. Also on like masterboards and stuff, it's just kind of, I like the interest that it gives. And, you know, if you have a spare newspaper around, you save some of that. But then the other thing is dyeing your own paper. This is one of my favorite things to do, and I started doing it before I had any journaling supplies at all. Literally, my favorite paper still to dye is just regular old printer paper. This is like standard, like print a school paper out kind of printer paper. So you can use coffee, you can use multiple kinds of tea. I would make sure it's like a darker tea, not like chamomile or something. I mean, I don't know, I've never tried chamomile because I feel like it probably wouldn't dye things very well, but it would still give you this like crinkly texture on your paper, which is honestly the main thing I love about it, is the texture that the paper gets. But different papers will give you, you know, every paper is going to soak it up a little bit differently, which is part of the fun of it, and it's just so, there's something special about it. It's like therapeutic, and like doing it yourself with your own hands and then being able to use that in your journal. I don't know. It's like making, it's probably what like making homemade paper is probably like, take that up another notch. I've never done that, but dyeing your own paper is just so satisfying. So you can use tea, coffee. This is cabbage dyed paper. So just take a red cabbage, chop it up a little bit and boil it for, you know, quite a while, maybe half an hour or something, maybe longer. You'll see when the water starts turning darker. For this, I just kind of dripped onto the paper, and that I find gives it more concentrated look like that, which I really love. But if you just submerge the papers, these ones were soaked for a while, but you know, I've dyed papers where you just stick it in, pull it straight back out, and dry. You know, you can do other kind of designs like this where you kind of drip it on one side and like let it run down the paper. Just, you know, creativity. is the limit, however creative you're feeling that day. But I really recommend, if you've never tried dyeing your own paper, really cheap / free way to create fodder for your journal. It's really nice. Another thing you can do, so this one's a two-parter, so let me say the part that's not in front of me first. You can like go out in nature and collect flowers or foliage or leaves or anything pretty that can be flattened and dry that out. So all you need to do for that is have like wax paper and something heavy, basically. And you know, you can look that up on another YouTube video if you want. But my friend Naomi, shout out to her for this idea. As soon as I saw her do this, I was like out picking my dandelions in my own yard, and got a hammer out, and my son and I just went to town on a couple of papers. These are just some flowers that we had and dandelions, and then the greens from those plants. And it does give texture as well. I mean, we used an actual hammer, so like we were just on the plain sidewalk. So it definitely, some of these have holes in them. But you know what? I love that. Like almost stick your finger through here. Hello. And I haven't gotten all of the like organic matter off of these papers, but I mean, I really like these. I think these are going to be awesome to use in my journal. Look at that. And these are like probably a couple weeks old at this point, so the color is staying, which I really enjoy. So there's that. And then another thing, if you have some paint, is using things from around your house as like stamps. So this was a baby food lid, so like look for different kinds of lids, but also you could use like a aluminum can sort of deal to do the same thing. Dip it in your paint, dip it in the paper. You know, anything. Like I could even use this as like a ink pad I would use around. That could work, and then just rinse this off. But I mean, just looking around, I can see like a dozen things that I could use for stamping. Book pages are also another nice thing. If you have old books that you don't use anymore or don't need anymore, like, you know, old stuff, or new stuff, you never know. Or, you know, that's something you can find usually dirt cheap at a thrift store as well. And you can dye those as well, or, you know, paint for interest, or just use them as they are. So those are some of my ideas. The other thing is just ephemera from your own life. So receipts, tickets from events you go to, or movies or concerts or anything like that. Let's see, like tags from things you buy or clothes. Like I said, you can even save the paper out of shoes. I've done it. What else? Oh, like greeting cards and things, holiday cards, things you can put into your journal, and also the envelopes those come in are usually really nice and sometimes colorful, which is nice. And then, yeah, oh, another thing about tea dyeing, you can save the tea bags also. So what I would do is just set them aside to dry out all the way after you brew the tea, and then remove the tea after everything's all dried up in there. And, you know, they're obviously tea stained themselves, and you can, you know, rip these up or use whatever shape of them you want. You can even have the tag still. This is Lady Grey. Really recommend if you ever find it. It's delicious. But yeah, you can use those, and then you can put the tea leaves in your compost bin. But yeah, so the other thing is old jewelry and stuff. And this is going to depend on who you are. You know, you might have tons of stuff, you might not really have anything, but anything that's like old jewelry you might not want to use as the jewelry anymore, or things that have broken and you have beads from, things like that, like little charmy kind of things that you can use as dangles and charms for a journal that you're making or using, or buttons. A lot of the stuff I have purchased, so don't look in here and be like, oh my gosh, she's made. Yeah, it's stuff I've collected. I've been collecting things for years, by the way. All this stuff, like, you can just come up with this in 5 seconds. I've been collecting things for a long time. Buttons and little charms. This is from a bracelet I think I had at one point. That's just waiting for me to find a good home for, the right journal for. You know, buttons of all kinds and sizes and shapes are always good. Beads like that. I've used most of my beads already. I probably should try to find more of those. And oh, the other thing is you can make your own beads out of paper and Mod Podge and a toothpick. So look that up on YouTube if you're interested in doing that. But these are the shape that I usually have made. But Jenny Belly's video on paper beads I recommend. Oh, and the other thing I was going to mention, gosh, this is getting a little bit long, sorry. I keep forgetting about these things. I've like stacked all around me and I'm like, oh crap, there's something else. Kitchen boxes, like boxes of things that you go through in your own home. These are great. So like this, I would say for like a tag or something like that, something small that's gonna be a little sturdier. You can absolutely use that for, or you could turn this into a journal, you know, you absolutely could do that. And that's why I've saved like all these cereal boxes for journals. I've made almost all of my journals out of cereal boxes. That's my favorite way to make a journal. And yeah, so I save quite a bit of boxes for that purpose. Oh, the thing I would mention about that also, I had something smaller I thought in there. But you want to make sure the part you're saving, let me see if I can pull this one open. So you'll see, here's the regular box. There's a seam on one side. So that's not the side you want to use for your journal. You want this side for your journal that doesn't have the seam in it. So obviously you can use the seam to open it up, but you know, that's just, it's going to be together, you know, it's going to, I don't know. You want to still reinforce it probably, but anyways, little tip there about that. And then the other thing is printables. If you have a printer and somewhat affordable ink, like it's within your budget to use some ink, that can be the expensive part of printables. But there are some free ones out there. And also I would look for sales on digital shops, and always look for like codes or like design team members or affiliates for shops, even on Etsy, small shops. Maybe on Instagram you can find some of those, but I mean you can pick up kits for like $2 for beautiful, beautiful prints that you can use again and again and again. That's just dependent on how much ink you can afford. It does add up after a while, but those are pretty affordable. And then like as an extra little tip here, I like to go onto Pinterest and use quotes from there to use in my journals. So, you know, that's not a supply, but it is a good tip for first-time journalers, you know, adding quotes into your journal. And also you can look up videos about hand lettering and things. You can practice and get those into your journal. Journals are a great place to practice things like that. Yeah, and so like as a little bonus tip here at the end, if you are like on an extreme budget and you're just getting started out on journaling, the one, okay, maybe two things I would recommend that are going to be like the most bang for your buck in my opinion, is going to be an ink pad. I think not only can you use it for stamping, if you have stamps or if you eventually invest in stamps, you know, slowly over time, you can always use that for stamps, but also you can use this to texture backgrounds. So I really need to grab something for this. 1 second. Okay, so here's an example. You don't have to have one of these, by the way. You can buy them if you want to. You do not have to have one. I didn't have one for years. The way I used to do edges before is literally like that. It's a little bit rougher, but I still kind of like that grungier feel, and you can get up on there too, like kind of aging things like that. You can do this with the paper, you can do this with stickers, you can like fussy cut things and like distress the edges like with ink. If you do have something like this or some kind of foam you could use this way, you know, you can kind of get a more subtle effect, like to different degrees in that way. And then another thing that I was really into doing for a while and still do sometimes is literally just like drag my whole ink pad over a page to give it some texture. I like doing that as well. So I think, you know, for the money that it costs, this is gonna be applicable in a lot of different uses. You know, you want to pick a good color that's going to be kind of neutral that you can use all over the place. You can even distress like tape, like masking tape or something, just like plain old masking tape, and you can turn it into something that looks old and really cool. So my recommendation is this one. This is my all-time favorite ink. This is Pebble Beach. It's a Ranger archival ink. This is my second pad of it. I love it so much. But here are some other ones I thought you also might like. This Vintage Photo is a great one. I use that one a lot. It's definitely darker brown, and like just, they have quite a few browns of these distress inks. I get the oxide. I think it's more versatile, even though I don't do the versatility uses, but there's this frayed burlap that is pretty nice. And then Antique Linen, this one is a lot more subtle. So if you're only going to get one, I probably wouldn't get this one, because if you do just stamp, it's going to be like some papers it's not even going to show up, but some of them will. It just depends on how you use it, but that's kind of the color of that one. I should probably do this for all of them, right? Okay, so here's the frayed burlap, Vintage Photo, and this one is tea dye. It doesn't look like the tea I dye, but and then there's another one of this Ranger one, Shadow Gray, that if you like cooler colors, you might want to go for something like that. But I like them because, like, if you have background stamps, I like the ones that are like not black, you know, super concentrated color, but can kind of like fade into the background if you don't stamp them super hard. You just kind of do it lightly. But here's this Antique Linen, frayed burlap. This one's the Vintage Photo tea dye, which is much more orange. I don't know. I still like it. It's kind of like almost sepia. And then this is the Shadow Gray, and then let me open this up. And then the Pebble Beach is on this side. Pebble Beach is kind of like a grayer. Sorry, the sun is gone down now, so lighting is probably really crap in this video, so I apologize for that. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on what you can use for junk journaling if you're just getting started, or are, you know, struggling to have extra money right now. You are not alone. And don't feel bad at all about that. There's a million things around you. I promise you that you can still participate. You can still make beautiful things. You can still exercise that creativity muscle. And I hope that you feel inspired or see something that, you know, sparks another idea in your brain in this video. And yeah, don't forget to like it if you found it helpful, and subscribe if you'd like to, you know, watch more content from me. And yeah, I hope to see you participating in Junk Journal July. You can follow me on Instagram. That's where I'll be sharing all my spreads. I might have some process videos here. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Ciao!